I'm Shannon Ireland, your host of a Healthy Push podcast. I struggled with anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia for 15 years. Everything used to be hard for me. Even just driving 5 minutes from my house used to feel impossible. But now I absolutely live for travel and adventure, and I experience lots of peace and joy. I've not only reclaimed my life, but I've helped hundreds of others to do the same. Here, we stop managing anxiety and instead we create a healthy relationship with it. One where you say goodbye to the anxious thoughts, symptoms, panic attacks, and fears, and you actually live your life. Forget complicated strategies, quick fixes, or the same old hacks you've heard 100 times before. Each week, I'll bring you simple, actionable advice and honest conversations that lead to real, long-term healing. You aren't just an anxious person, my friend. There are reasons why you're struggling with anxiety, and these are things you can fix and heal from. And this is where that journey begins. Welcome. You're right where you're meant to be. Hello, and welcome back to a Healthy Push podcast. We are sitting down with Mary to do another Q&A episode. Hi, Mary. I'm so happy
Oh,
to be with
hi, I'm
you.
so happy to be back. I love these. I know I said that before, but I just love them.
I know, same. And I feel like it's our chance to sort of catch up. And now we're like half hour past our recording time. And I'm like, okay, let's hit record. So today we're going to primarily answer questions relating to my personal anxiety recovery journey and just my journey in general. And I feel like I get asked questions a lot about my personal journey. And I'm like, okay, I think we just need to do one dedicated episode to it and answer all the questions. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be really fun. Also fun slash emotional. So we'll see. I feel like I always get emotional talking about my journey, even though I've been recovered now for almost a decade. It's like, it's still so emotional, but I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Oh, I'm excited. I think that's what makes you really special though, Shannon, is that you have such detailed experience with this type of
Mm,
thing. So you're just in such a great position to help others because of your experience with it yourself, you know? And I think that's kind
yeah.
of a rare thing is to meet somebody who's gone through this because I don't think it's something the average person understands, you know?
For sure, for sure. And I was just thinking about this actually the other day. I'm like, before we even get into questions, we're going to go off on a tangent. But I was thinking about it and I'm like, you really don't see much of anything about agoraphobia. And so many people struggle with it and don't even really know that that's a part of what they're struggling with. So, yeah, I think it's so valuable and important to talk about all of this stuff. So, I'm excited.
Okay, well, that rolls us into our first question, Shannon. What did your anxiety and panic actually look like at its worst on a day to day basis?
Let's start light and airy. Like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Okay. Um this is throwing me. I mean, okay, anxiety was with me everywhere I went at like my lowest points, right? I was carrying it everywhere I went. Like leaving the house, even being at home was hard. I was constantly sort of in those fear loops of, am I going to feel anxious? Am I going to have a panic attack? What is it going to look like? How bad is it going to be? And oftentimes I would experience multiple panic attacks a day. And I was actually thinking about this recently because when I went actually and saw a psychiatrist, she said this to me, which I was like, wait, what? So I went to talk to a psychiatrist about trying medication for a second time. And she, of course, like got my history and was like, we were talking through where I was at and just like how bad things were. And she looked at me and she was like, I cannot believe that you're still functioning. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, I can't believe you're still going to work. Like you're still doing the things that you have to do. Like you're still even going out with friends. And I don't think I really thought about it because I have just always been like a doer. And this is something I hear from a lot of people. Like, I just power through. I just always do. And I mean, what I was thinking about recently was how I grew up. And I grew up with a mom who is the epitome of like a goer, a doer, like never one to slow down. So I think for a lot of people, like what I was struggling with would have thrown them into a place of basically like freeze, avoidance, not leaving the house, like likely homebound. But because of sort of the environment I was raised in, the messaging that I got, it was like that wasn't really an option. Like you're just gonna take care of your stuff. Like you're gonna go to work. And I mean, I can remember from the time I was 16, probably, I took care of myself financially. Like, my mom was a single mom, we grew up very poor, and it was like I had to function, like, I had to, and so I feel like when I had this conversation with the psychiatrist, I feel like it hit me in that conversation of how bad things actually were, but I don't think it really registered for me. Like, I don't think I really understood how badly I was forcing myself to go to work, to do the things, to continue to function. Meanwhile, what people didn't see, of course, was me crying, like shaking, having multiple panic attacks, being at work, sitting at my desk, having panic attacks, like going into the bathroom, being like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this day, and carrying that at home, like literally waking up with the anxiety, going to bed with the anxiety. And just that, I feel like the sort of the things to highlight here, like the worst of it, I mean, I could give the stories, right, of, like, the worst panic attacks, and I don't wanna go there because those are totally valid, but, like, I think what I wanna hit on here is the worst for me was that constant fear, and then the ups and downs that come with that of, like, "Okay, maybe I am getting better. No, I'm not getting better. Like, this is I am still really struggling," and the hope part, like, there are so many pieces of my journey where I'm like, "I just don't have any hope." Like, I literally think this is gonna be the rest of my life. I'm gonna leave the house every day and feel like this. I'm gonna get in my car every day and feel like this. So I feel like when people ask me, like, "What did it look like at its worst?" I feel like it was so mental, and you can't show that. Like, you can physically show how bad. I mean, I was so deathly skinny. I was so sick. Like, you could see it physically on me. But mentally, I was a complete disaster and like just a shell of a person. And I think back and I mean, it's so hard even now because I'm like, how you don't even realize when you're in it. You're like, how did I get through that? Like, how did I function? Like, how? But you just do it, right? So I don't know, I hope that answered the question. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's like sort of like I don't know what they say, like a frog in boiling water or like it's like slowly gets
Yeah,
like it kind of just slowly takes over your life. Like it's not something that like you do. So, I mean, there is a day where you're gonna wake up and it might be you can't get in the car to go to work. Or that's what how it was for me. You know, it's like all of a sudden I just was like I can't go to work. I just can't. Like I just literally couldn't. Like I couldn't breathe. Like I was sitting in the car and I'm like no way, I'm not, and I just remember my body, like, just said no, like, all of a sudden, but there were, like, whispers, like, over time, little things that would happen that kinda, like, would tell me, "Oh, okay, something was coming," but it was, like, kinda slow to start, and then you just kinda start to slowly give up your independence and slowly give in to the condition, and I think that that's I think that's the worst part is, like you said, like,
yeah,
just not knowing, like, if like, "Oh, I think I'm good. I'm okay. Oh, wait, no, I'm not," and, like, just kinda like that getting used
yeah,
to that new, like, reeled in independence that no longer is there for you anymore, you know?
yeah, and what you're speaking to, right, is so normal, like, that getting to that place where you're like, I can't, like, I'm not gonna go to work, I'm not gonna do the things, like, I am so scared, there's so much fear, and I think there's, some for some people, it does look that way, but I will say for the majority of people that I work with, it does not look that way, and I think a big piece of that is a lot of people that I work with have the perfectionism, have the, like they were taught, like, you don't feel, you don't fix, you just keep going and you, like, power through it, and that was so what I was raised in, and so I remember even thinking back then, like, I wish somebody would have told me, like, we can ease up a bit. Like, we don't have to keep forcing to do all the things and to pretend you're fine. But, I think this is the whole conversation, right? Of like, you can be struggling severely with agoraphobia and still leave the house and still do everything that you need to do. And I think that's just such a misconception that it's like mostly what we see, right? If somebody's struggling with agoraphobia, they don't leave the house. They're not getting in the car and doing the things. But many, many people, I was diagnosed with severe agoraphobia. Like I was leaving the house every day, but it's so the mental stuff. It's the stuff people can't see.
Well, I guess that leads me to my next question, like, was there a moment when you realized I can't keep living like this?
Oh, there were a few moments where I really remember, like, I can't keep doing this. Like, there's no way. I think you feel it physically, right? Like, my body physically can't keep doing this, but mentally, I can't keep doing this. And I remember one, and I feel like I've definitely told this story, but there was a moment where my mom was holding me, laying on the bathroom floor at our house, and I had just had a panic attack, and, ugh, I will get so emotional even now, but it was a point in which I was like, "I can't, and we need to figure something out because I'm really feeling that feeling of I don't wanna be here anymore, like, I don't wanna exist." And it's not that I was ever suicidal, but I think if you've lived it, you understand it. With panic disorder and agoraphobia, the fear is so intense, the anxiety is so intense, the panic is so intense that it drains everything from you, and you don't want to live anymore. And it's not in that sense of like, I don't wanna live, right? But I don't wanna be living with this. And I remember looking at my mom and telling her, like, "If this is how my life is gonna continue to look, I can't do this." And, of course, like, she was breaking down. I was breaking down, and I remember this was, at one of the points where I went back to see a psychiatrist and talked about going on medication and trying it again, and I feel like it was sort of at that point where I was like, I will try anything, like, I have tried everything, but, like, let's give medication another shot and just see because I truly felt like something has got to help me, otherwise I have no idea what I'm gonna do.
I hear you so much, like, I feel like for in my personal journey as well, I'm just like there were times where I was just like, I there was a point where I just missed so much, like, I saw my peers going off to college, I saw, people getting married and having all these life events coming, and I was just, like, in my room, like, afraid to
Yeah,
leave and, like, just feeling like I was a housebound person for a long time, and I thought, "I can't keep living like this. For I can't let this take my life from me,
yeah.
I have to do something to move myself forward, you know?"
Yeah, it's such a scary place, and if anyone's in that place, I just wanna validate, it's such a human place to be in, and it is so hard, but you've gotta try your best to, like, be so compassionate with yourself and reach out for support, definitely.
Yeah, well, did you ever worry that it wasn't just anxiety or that something was like, did you ever think something was seriously wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, like, the talk about convincing yourself, like, there's got to be something else going on because there is no way that my body could be reacting in this way if it's, quote, "just anxiety." But, I mean, I went to the doctors a lot. I went to the emergency room a handful of times. I had so much testing done, and literally what I would always hear was, "We can't find anything. It's likely stress and it's definitely anxiety. And, here are the things that you can do." And it was mostly like go on medication, which I had tried and was not helpful. Or it was like, here are all these coping skills. And like I had known everything under the sun at that point. And it was like if one more person tells me it's just anxiety, like I am going to lose my shit. Because like I think you logically know, like, it is anxiety, but when it's so intense and it's there every second, it feels like every second of every day, you're like, "There's no way this is just anxiety, like, you need to figure something out because there's something wrong with me." And I remember one of the scariest points in my journey, I was in the emergency room and I was actually like, I never want to scare anyone. But I was actually in the trauma unit and it was so bad. And I think like my body was just like, we're done. Like, we can't do this anymore. And this was like, anxiety and stress can do a lot to your body. And I was definitely so stressed. I had a lot of chaos in my life. Like, there was just a lot going on. And it wasn't just like, oh, I was just having panic attacks just because. Like, there were very good reasons. Like, I had some really hard stuff going on at that point in my life. But it was almost like, too, I wish somebody would have said, oh, we found it. It's not just anxiety. Like, it's this, and you can take this or you can do this. Like, I remember like hoping and praying, like, just please let them find something because I can't do this anymore. But I think something that, helps with this in particular, because I don't want to just be this like downer. If you're feeling like, I don't know. Is it just anxiety? Like, is it something else? You have to acknowledge, right? Your brain is searching. It's going to want to find like the problem, right? It's going to want to find a fix. And when you just allow yourself to acknowledge, like to name it, to just say, like, okay, this is anxiety. We know what this is, right? Like, I know what anxiety feels like. I know what it looks like. I know what it sounds like. And really do your best to just let it like exist and try not to do all the things like looking outward and trying to get rid of it and just like practicing more of the acceptance piece. Like, that was such a huge game changer for me and I know is so helpful for so many people.
Yeah, I remember, my therapist, like, gave me this book that was, like it showed you, like, the mechanics of a panic attack, right? Like, what it looks like. Like, it was a picture, and I remember looking at it and going, "Oh, like, this is cyclical. Like, this is almost like feeling nauseous or something." Like, it when you feel that nausea feeling and it comes over you and it's like a wave, right? Like, so is panic. It's just a wave. All it is a wave, and if you can get through the wave and literally, for me, the panic attack always happened exactly the same, like, the same feelings, the same duration usually of time, the same, like, sequential physical feelings, and I just remember that when I unmasked, like, the big mystery and I removed myself emotionally from the panic attack itself, it didn't have the same hold over me anymore because I realized, "Oh, like, this is just a pattern that my body repeats," and I would be able to recognize it for what it was, but I was going to the cardiologist for a while, I was
Yep.
going to try to figure out what is wrong with me, like, my dad had a lot of heart issues, so that added to, you
Yeah.
know, me like, "Oh, is it genetic? Do I have something going on?" And I just remember trying to name it every way I could because how can something be as but like, benign, I guess, as anxiety when it feels
Yeah.
like you're literally dying, like, I don't know, it's our bodies are extremely powerful, aren't they? I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. We so underestimate the stress part, like what stress does to your body. It's crazy. And it's such a big piece, like you can't overlook. And it can be, quote, just anxiety, as frustrating as that is to hear.
Yeah, so, like, what do you think was harder, the panic attacks themselves or the constant avoidance and restriction?
My God. I would say they were both so hard, right? Like, I mean, I think most people will say, right, the panic attacks suck the most. Like, they are the thing that I hate the most. And yeah, absolutely. But looking back, they both sucked. Like, there were so many times where I didn't go off to college. Like, that wasn't even an option for me. Like, I barely graduated high school. So it was like there were so many things that I did have to say no to. And there were so many times I remember like friends and just family even doing these cool things. And there was in no realm in which I was getting in a car, taking a road trip, or getting on a plane. Like, that was out of the question. So I think not just with the bigger stuff, I should say this too, right? The constant everyday of like, how can I try to avoid feeling anxious? How can I try to avoid panicking? Like, how can I, and for me, my entire life, my entire like mentality revolved around how can I prevent this from happening? So I feel like these 2 things go hand in hand, like the avoidance and restriction and the panic, like they are both awful and terrible and they kind of like feed each other. So yeah, they they were both freaking hard, so hard.
Yeah. I just remember, like, the feeling of, like, shame, like, if I didn't do something because I was afraid to have a panic attack, just, like, the
Yep.
shame that I would feel or, like, how let down I was for myself, and I'm like because in the quiet moments, like, the avoidance and restriction were the worst part of it, and in the moment, it was the panic attack, so there were, like, 2 separate times of reflection. Like, there were times in the moment with the panic attack, which was awful, and then reflecting on why I didn't do something because I was afraid of the panic attack and that kinda guilt and shame that I would feel when it would be just me alone in my room and I didn't have anything, and I just felt like it was just being hit, like, in in both
Yeah.
ways, you know?
Yeah.
It's rough, you know?
That's so relatable. I'm so glad that you shared that because that's such a big reality. And like shame, embarrassment, all those things are things that we heavily focus on in my program. And like when I do work with clients, because most people don't even realize that's a part of the picture, but it's usually a really big part of the picture.
Did you ever have any, like, panic relapses? Like, how do you not ruminate over the relapses?
Yeah. Oh, I Okay, so I guess I wanna say this before I answer. I would never call them relapses. Like, I understand why people phrase it this way and ask this question because panicking, especially after you haven't panicked for a while, can feel like a relapse. But I always say, like, there's a reason that your body went there. So it's not ever like, "Oh, I just panicked and this is out of the middle of nowhere and like now I'm back at square one and this is so bad." It's like, no, no, no. Your body had a very normal response to something. There was probably some stress. There was maybe an event there. You didn't get good sleep. You drank too much, whatever it is. Like there's reasons, right? So I never like to call panic attacks relapses or setbacks. Like I hate that. But yeah, of course, I had moments where I had been doing pretty good. And like a lot of people I hear, a lot of people that sign up for my Panic to Peace program, like I have not had a panic attack in months or in years because you get really good at avoiding and making sure that you don't have them. And then you get hit with one, and it can usually be pretty intense. And I mean, I remember there were many times, like, I would sometimes go days, weeks, months without experiencing panic and then get hit with it. And there were definitely times where I overthought it. I ruminated over it. It's like, how can you not when you're so in it? Because you're like, why did I just panic? Oh my God, like that shouldn't have happened. Like now I'm back at square one, like all the things that you tell yourself. I think to answer this question of like, how do you not ruminate over it? There are going to be times, and you have to give yourself that grace where you do think about it and you're like, why did that happen? What did I do? How can I make sure that doesn't happen again? But I think you really have to shift that and try your best not to go there and just say, "Okay, it happened." Like, there was a reason, right? And if the reason isn't obvious, like, we don't need to go digging. We just need to say, "It's okay." Like, "We had a panic attack. It's okay." And really resist, like, analyzing and trying to find meaning in it. Do your best just to move on. Like, it happened. It does not mean shit. And let yourself let go of it, and that will help you to not feel all the anxiety and experience more panic because it'll just become that loop that you're not able to get out of if you just continue to analyze, make meaning out of it, all the things.
Yeah, I think for me in my instance, I think relapses were less, once I had dealt with the panic at large, I think the relapses were less impactful because my perspective of my condition had changed so much because of all the work I was doing, that when
Mhm.
those types of things would happen, the impact wouldn't be as heavy. I wouldn't start to spiral and think, "Oh, okay, well, I guess my life is going back to restrictive and this and that." Like, my perspective had changed, and I think I hope that anyone listening who's on a journey, in this journey right now doesn't think about, "Will I relapse?" Because when you're in a better place and you've got more self-compassion and you have those tools, it won't feel the same way if you have one,
Yeah.
down the road. It won't feel
Yeah.
like, "Oh gosh," like, dread because you're gonna have such built-in strength within yourself that you're just gonna say, "Oh, well, that happened, and we're gonna move, but, I'm gonna be okay, and, it sucked, but it's okay," and it will change, and
So true.
I think I thought about that a lot, like, when I was in recovery, I think I thought a lot about, like, "Well, what if I'm really good for a while and then I have one?" But it really didn't feel the same way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I'm so glad that you shared that. It's so true.
Yeah. So, what helped you the most in recovery and what didn't help even though you tried it?
Okay. I feel like I tried, like most people say, I tried everything. So, really, what helped me most, I would say the biggest things, if I had to boil it down, acceptance, like really working on just allowing myself to be where I was at, allowing myself to have the anxiety, allowing it to look how it did, and not try to get rid of it. So, acceptance in many different forms was a huge piece that helped me. Also, self care, like actually taking care of myself, was a massive thing that helped me, and support. Internal support, external support, like actually being compassionate with myself, giving myself grace, like changing that relationship with myself to make it more healthy, but also getting external support. And like, I don't just mean going to therapy, having a coach, getting into a community, like those things can be helpful. But I mean, even getting help from the people who you have access to every day, like actually letting people in, like being vulnerable, telling people, like, hey, I need some help, like things are really hard. So I would say those three things, probably acceptance, self care, and support, were massive. The things that didn't help, probably the biggest one, constantly looking for a solution, constantly looking for a fix, constantly trying all the things, like, that was so unhelpful because I mean, what that does, right, is it just put so much trust outside of yourself. You're constantly looking for fixes, solutions. Meanwhile, you don't realize you're keeping the anxiety so alive because that's what you're focused on. You're giving it so much energy, attention, focus. And I always tell people when they first start working with me and like in my program, anything, I'm like, okay, tell me all the things that you're doing, right? To try to help support yourself right now. And where we usually start is, okay, where can we pull back a little bit? Because what is not going to help you heal from anxiety is putting all your attention and focus on it and trying to fix it.
Oh my god, so true, yeah. I think realizing that I had a real, messed up kind of relationship with myself and I put a lot of pressure on myself in my life, and I realized it when I went back into my history of my life and I realized, like, where that came from, there was a lot in my childhood that made me feel like I was really put upon, and I dealt with a lot of, like, parentification, if you will, if you wanna look that up, but my parents had a very difficult relationship and they were always kinda arguing, and I always kinda felt like
Mhm.
the little adult in the middle, I was an only child, and I always felt like there was a lot of stress on me to perform, like, to be always, like, taking care of everything and in control and adult and mature, and I feel like I just overloaded myself so much, and I think realizing those things and making it okay to be, a little relaxed sometimes or not expect so much of myself, and that was a huge part of my recovery was just to, like, ease up on myself a lot, like, it's okay,
Yeah.
like, you can you can have your worst panic attack fear happen in public, and no first of all, no one's really gonna care because everyone's focused on themselves, and also, you can be weak sometimes, and it's okay, like, you don't have to always be this pillar of strength, and I think I always kind of felt like I had to be, and just reformatting that like psychological, like, relationship with myself was huge to help me recover, so
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable, Mary, because I think so many people do carry wounds, of course. And similar, like I've shared that, my parents were Ugh, it was a very unhealthy relationship, and me and my brother took the brunt of it in many different ways. And yeah, like it shows up in patterns in your adult life, and you've got to work through that stuff because if not, right, you're gonna keep doing the things that are contributing to a lot of stress and anxiety.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, that's an awesome lead into the next question I have for you is how did you get to the place of, "I'm just going to trust myself and, like, whatever comes up, comes up?"
Yeah, this is such a good question. I think so many people, right, are like, I want to get to the place of like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get in the car. I'm just going to take the trip. I like whatever happens, happens. And it's so hard because it's not like a mentality shift of like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm sick of it. And I'm just, I feel like we hear that a lot, but that's like so not true. Like, you can't just mentally force yourself into that place. We get to that place through action. And one of the biggest ways to get to that place is to build self trust. So it really means like supporting yourself through the hard stuff. I always say when anxiety shows up, it's not about how do I make it go away? How do I get through it? How do I calm myself? It's how do I support myself through this hard moment? If you focus on that, right, you're going to build self trust. If you actually allow yourself to look inward rather than to try to look outward for all the fixes, all the saving, all the solutions, you're slowly going to build more self trust in yourself. And there are so many different ways you can build self trust. This is like a massive thing that I teach and focus on because when you build that self trust, gradually, it does happen gradually, but it gives you that belief, that feeling, that knowing like, okay, I can do whatever. I can get in the car. I can drive on the highway. I can do this and actually trust that if I panic, I'm going to be okay. Like it's going to suck, but I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, like, honestly, one of the things that really, helped me a lot was, like, a lot of, I had a couple of friends that were really, like, I was very attracted to because they were very relaxed all the time, and they just had this aura about them that was just so, like, la-di-da and, "Oh, well," and whatever happens, happens, and I thought, "I need a little bit of that." So
Right.
I would, think of them a lot of the times. I'd be like, "Well, if Mike was in this situation, like, he'd just be like, 'Whatever, man,'" you know? And I think there's a little bit of a dose of, like, sometimes it's nice to look around and see, like, "Oh, that person handles stress really well," like, you know, and I think we kinda do, like, we influence each other in a way, and I think, like, looking for a community of people or friends that, maybe a few of them that have a little bit more of, like, an ease with anxiety. It's kinda, it gives you a little bit of, like, I don't know, like, I think I kinda looked up to people like that, and I still do to this day. I still, like, I'm like, "I'm gonna be more like, Joe or something like me." Like, I wanna just be a little bit like him, and I think, like, sometimes, like, that kinda thing really helped me a lot was just to,
Yeah.
like, see my friends who handled stress better than I did.
I think it's so funny too because something that I see a lot is the person, whoever it is who's signing up to work with me, whether it's like female, male, usually their counterpart, like their partner is the opposite. Like my
Yeah.
partner is so carefree. My partner, like we are so attracted to people like that because it's like, I want to be more like that. And
Mhm.
that is great, right? To have people in your circle that like do just, sort of do. But you also have to recognize they're not moving through life, right, with no fear, with no anxiety. It's just
Right.
they've been through different experiences, right? They have different approaches, different skills. Like we're all coming from very different places. But yeah, it's funny because so many people will be like, my partner, my mom, my friend, like they're so the opposite. I just want to be more like them. I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. I get it.
Oh my god, me too. I love it, yeah. How did you keep going on the days when motivation was gone and everything kind of felt pointless?
Ugh. Okay, so this is kind of like what I was saying before. It's so like thinking back to my journey, I'm like, I don't even know. Like you keep going. And I see this in like every student that I work with. I see this in so many people. Like I don't think we give ourselves enough credit when you're struggling with an anxiety disorder, how hard things are. And despite how hard things are, how much fear there is, how much anxiety there is, you are still continuing to do the things that you need to do. Granted, it might not look pretty. There might be things, right, that you are restricting, limiting, not doing. But for the most part, the people that I work with, like they are the best parents. They are the best sisters. They are the best moms. It's like, so you've got to give yourself credit because what you're struggling with is really hard and you're not going to do things perfectly, right? But I think looking back, I'm like, I don't know. I just, so, like, sometimes you just do it and you don't even really know how you do it. But I think something that really helped me with motivation and with like losing that hope, right? Of like, is this going to be the rest of my life? Am I ever going to get better? Like, how am I going to take the steps? It was support, like, actually asking for support and receiving it. Like, this is something I look back and I'm like, "Why for so long was I just like, I'm gonna do this on my own, and I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna power through." Like, ugh, I just we heal in connection, and things are so much easier when you actually allow yourself to get support.
Yeah, like, well, Shannon, like, was there a clear turning point in your recovery? Like, do you remember, like, a day or something when things seemed to just shift, or did progress happen more gradually, or
It was gradual, and it's always I have yet to meet a person, I've yet to work with a person, and I've supported hundreds of people through panic disorder and agoraphobia recovery. It was not like, "Oh, and I circled this date on my calendar, and this is the day." Like, that's not how recovery happens. That's not how anything happens in life, right? So, no, there wasn't a clear turning point. It really did happen gradually, and this is why I always say, like, it's so weird because you feel like you get in this place where you're like, "Okay, I'm doing better, but I kinda still don't trust it. I kinda am still worried, like, could shit get bad again?" But you keep living and you keep focusing on the things that you need to, and sort of you come to this place of, "Wait, how did I get here?" Like, things don't feel so hard. Like, I am able to do more. Like, I am able to now think about getting on the plane and taking trips and, like, or just doing these things that are, quote, "bigger for you." Like, you do get to that point, but it always happens gradually, which is, of course, one of the most frustrating parts of recovery.
I
It's
agree. I think it's so cool though, like, when you have that moment, you're like, "Oh my god, I just did that and I didn't have a panic attack." Like, oh, like, there are, like, some real, like, self-esteem moments where you're just like, I think I'm gonna beat like, I think I'm gonna beat this, and I just
Yep.
that I think I mean, I just remember those moments where it was like, I felt like I just did something, and I drove in the car, and I could go, like, down the street way further than I did last time, and it
Yeah.
just felt like people who are listening to this, you're going through something I believe to be unique, and I think that for what I feel is that when I look around me, I think, "Man, I am such a warrior. I'm so badass." Like, I not only, like, have established myself as an adult, but in my years of, trying to establish myself in my early 20s, and I wasn't able to, I kicked panic disorder's butt, and I also, like, ended up having a really great life down the road, like,
Yeah.
and I can't say that I meet that many people who go through that, and I just feel like it's such a win in the end, you know?
Yeah. Oh, the every day, like, I'll get messages and videos and pictures, and I'm just like, it is the best freaking thing when people are like, "I never thought that I would do this again, and here I am." I'm like, "Yeah, it's so possible." But you don't see it and believe it until you're living it.
Yeah, so, like, what does anxiety look like for you now, like, compared to when you were struggling? Like, when you get
Ugh.
anxiety today, like, what
Yeah. So I always tell people, right, like we can't get rid of anxiety in general. Like it's an emotion, we need it. It's there for all of us, but I don't experience any of the disordered anxiety. And that's of course when you're struggling with an anxiety disorder, it's very disordered. So the part where you're experiencing the racing thoughts and all the fears and the sensations and the symptoms, like I don't have any of that. But of course, I get very natural anxiety sometimes. Like if I'm doing something that I haven't done in a while, or I'm going somewhere new, or maybe doing something by myself, like, yeah, I'll experience a little bit of anxiety, but it's nothing that's like, oh, you shouldn't do this. Like, oh, this is like too big, bad, scary. And then I'm getting like the alarms thrown at me. Like it's none of that. And I mean, I have shared this very openly and honestly, right? You talk about getting to a place that you never thought you would get in, where I remember, last year, like, taking my daughter on a trip, it was just me and her, and I was like, "Wait, like, this is so crazy." Even now being recovered for as long as I have been, you still really appreciate those moments where you're like, "How did I get here?" Of, like, I'm driving to the airport with just me and my daughter, and I'm not worried about anything. Like, it was just such an insane thing for me, but, like, I've had so many of those. Like, I go on trips, hike solo. My mom's wanted to kill me so many times because, like, she'll call me and be like, what did you just do? Did you do that hike by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yes, and I know to not tell you until after I do it because 'cause she'll just worry about me." But, like, the things that I do, right? Like, it's amazing to be able to hike, to go on trips, to be able to do all this stuff that I really, truly thought I would never do again. But I always say the more priceless stuff to me, and I will cry, is just leaving the house, getting in my car, and not thinking about anxiety. Like, how freeing that is to not wake up with the anxiety, to not be worried about, "Am I gonna panic today? What is it gonna look like?" Like, to have that level of freedom for years is priceless, and I always tell people, like, the work is so friggin' hard. It's so hard, but it is so worth it, and when you do the work, it gets you off of the roller coaster, and it gives you that consistent long-term healing, and, like, if you follow me, if you've been here for a while, you know, like, the past few years of my life, like, I've been through separation, divorce, co-parenting, like, my life has been pretty rough, and I have not had any disordered anxiety, and it really just speaks to all the work that I did and the work that I continue to do to support myself because I always promised myself I will never, ever go back there, ever.
I love that, and I think you kinda just answered my question because I was gonna ask you, like, do you ever worry about going backwards or relapsing or
Oh,
anything like that? Or, now that
yeah,
you're just so situated?
that is so funny. Like, no, I don't, and it I don't worry about going backwards. I never worry about, like, could I struggle with that again? I think a part of this that I think is so worth mentioning is in my recovery journey, I got really good at giving up control and letting go of certainty and really just, like, whatever happens truly does happen. And I think I swung so far the other way, which is great, but, like, sometimes it's infuriating to people in my life. They're like, "Why? Like, why do you not plan shit, Shannon?" I'm like, "'Cause I just don't want to anymore." But I really don't worry because I got really good at accepting uncertainty, and it could happen, right? I could get to a place in my life where I do struggle with panic again, but I'm not concerned. I'm not worried about it. If it happens, and I know what to do, but, like, I take very good care of myself, and truly, when I made that promise to myself of, like, "I'm never going back there," I meant it, and I know, like, it's not about control, it's about knowing yourself and knowing how to support yourself and how to have a healthy relationship with your emotions and how to ask for help, because if you know those things, you won't worry about going back, quote, "back to any place like that."
Yeah, and I think just the discovery of, like, learning who you are and mastering who you are as a
Yep.
person changes your life in total. Like, when you know who you are and you have faith in you and you love yourself and you give yourself compassion, your entire outside world changes right before your eyes. Like, and so many people never are hard pressed enough to have to do that kind of work. And I think as people who struggle with panic disorder, anxiety, you come out of this just knowing what you want from life, knowing how
Mhm.
precious freedom is, like
Yep.
knowing, like knowing these things and taking and not taking for granted all of these things that other people may walk around not even realizing like how fortunate they are. I really think it's a beautiful thing. I came out so humble, so empathetic, so loving, so much more caring for myself. And I think like I don't ever look thinking, "Oh, I might go backwards, I might," because I I know I can't like, I literally I'm just like, I'm a badass now, like, I'm like, "You know what? If I pass out, if I puke, if I whatever, if any of those types of thoughts, like, come up in my mind," I'm just like, like, I just roll like, I'm like, "All right, well, I guess, I guess I'm human then, I guess, like, it's okay to be me, and it's okay to have flaws, and it's okay to panic or tell someone I'm not feeling so great, and it's fine." Like, I think I just always held everybody's opinion of me in such high regard that I didn't care for myself enough. I cared more about what people thought about me, and I think coming out of panic disorder transforms you for the best, and I would always say that I could never go back. I would never go back because I am permanently changed as a person in the best way possible.
Oh, I echo that, and so that's something it's so weird that so many people say that I work with. Like, I am so grateful that I went through what I went through. And it does sound bizarre to say that, and I know for people who are in it and struggling, that can be really hard to hear, but it does. It really truly transforms your entire relationship with yourself and your entire life. So, I love that you shared that.
Yeah, so I guess my last thing I wanna just ask you is if, like, if someone's listening right now and they're feeling stuck and hopeless and they're like, "Man, like, what do you want them to know?"
Well, I really hope that this conversation has given you some hope, but I would say please be gentle with yourself. Like, you have to acknowledge how hard it is to struggle on a daily basis with anxiety and panic and fear. And you've really got to allow yourself to support yourself through it and not be that person who's beating yourself up and sabotaging yourself. Like, please support yourself through it and recognize recovery is absolutely happening even when you can't see it or feel it. Like, the steps that you're taking, they are creating meaningful progress. You might not be able to see it, you might not be able to feel it, but it is happening. So, like, please be gentle with yourself and just keep taking the steps. You don't need to know when, how, all the pieces, like, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's just like I said before, it's a journey of discovering you, and if you look at it in tr the it's hard to look at it in a positive light, I know that because it feels so freaking scary, but if you think about it as like, I am taking this time to really get to know me, to really love myself, it's a self-care for me, this is like, these types of things are gonna carry with you for the rest of your life, these, the that you're gonna feel more self-esteem and all these things, and it will better you in every aspect as you move through life, as you move into different difficult situations that we all go through, it's gonna improve your life 100%, and I think just keep going. That's all you have to do, just keep going, and I know that it feels hard and it feels stressful and it feels awful, but it's like you're gonna come out of this, like, super strong, and you're gonna go, "Hell yeah, I'm awesome."
And you already are, but you'll come out even more awesomer if
Yeah,
that's a word.
you're gonna start saying you're awesome if you're not already, you're gonna be like, "Oh, man, I got through this."
Well, I love this, Mary. This is such a good conversation, and I will obviously see you soon for another one. I hope you loved this episode of A Healthy Push. If you have, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a rating and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. This helps people to find the show and get the support they need. And if you know someone who could use a little push, be sure to share this episode with them. And for even more support, head over to ahealthypush.com for show notes and loads of tips, tools, and inspiration to help you on your recovery journey. I'll see you next week.